Hello and welcome to another episode of Minutes and Matters brought to you by 10 Leaves. I'm your host, Bhumika Arora, and today we are diving into a document that many of us see as a tedious chore, but in reality, it's one of the most critical legal records an organization possesses: board minutes. To help us break this down, I'm joined by governance expert Bhakti Dave. Hi Bhakti, how are you?
Hey Bhumika, I'm doing good. Thank you. How are you?
I am very well, Bhakti. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Bhumika. It's always pleasure and always excited to, discuss and be part of the conversations.
Likewise. Yes. All right. Bhakti, let's start right at the beginning. What exactly are we talking about when we say board minutes?
Yes, Bhumika. Earlier discussions we had about board agenda, how the meetings has to be conducted. So in continuance of those discussions, we are going to talk about board minutes. Think of board minutes as an official written records of what happens during the meeting, or it's kind of an organization's memories capturing key decisions or discussions or any actions that the board of directors wants to have it during the meeting. It's
Mhm.
not about just like word to word transcript in the minutes. It's really important to highlight only and write down the things capturing the essence and the outcomes of the meeting.
Okay, so that's a great way to put it, like the memory of the organization. And I think that takes it from something dry to something that's actually alive and meaningful.
That's
All
correct.
right. Yes, yes. All right. So let's get into the structure. What absolutely must be included in board minutes for them to be valid and useful?
There is no actual, a format wherein we can say what has to be included or what has to be excluded in the board minutes. But basically, there are few points that can be added into the minutes, starting with the day, date, time, and the location of the meeting. Or if in case the meeting is virtual, then mentioning about that it was held through video conferencing. So those basic details can be start with the minutes.
Right.
Then the next is the attendance. The minutes has to record who were present at the meeting or any directors who were absent at the meeting or any invitees that were invited into the meeting. So that details can be added in the minutes. The very important thing in the board minutes is the quorum. When we say the
Mhm.
directors present and absent, it gives the essence that the quorum was present at the meeting, because it's a regulation that the quorum has to be present throughout the meeting. Now, when we say quorum, it means the minimum number of directors that has to be present in the meeting for a valid board meeting to be conducted. So this is very important that the quorum has to be there in the meeting.
Okay.
Then, the basic details other can be approval of the previous meeting minutes, that including any corrections if any director wants to have or any comments they have in the meeting or minutes of the previous meeting. The important point in the minutes is the decisions. Now, this
Mhm.
is very crucial. Clear recording any resolutions or any votes, or there may be some agendas that need any noting items, or there may be any agenda or any discussions that has to be approved through resolutions. So those points has to be added in the minutes. The another important point to be added in the minutes is the conflict of interest. There may be many transactions or many decisions wherein the directors has the interest in those transactions. So conflict of interest of the directors, recording them is also very important. And whether they were rescued themselves from the approving them or any kind of what discussions happen, this is very important part of the minutes. And finally, many a times it happens that due to some reasons, the quorum is present at the meeting, but throughout the meeting, it is not present. And, the quorum minimum requirement is broken down. So that is the time the meeting has to be adjourned. So those recording is also very important, the time of adjournment and the day and time of the next meeting. So these basic points can be added in the minutes.
Right. Uh, I think very well explained, Bhakti. These might sound like very simple things, but they are very important from what I understand.
Yes, yes, Bhumika. That is because normally what happens is small things are missed out, but it it can create a big things going forward.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And these are the actually small things are more difficult to, remember. So I feel
Yes,
that if you have a clear checklist like this, it becomes easier. And
Yes.
also, I really liked how you framed it. Like, it's not just paperwork, it's like documenting accountability. And also, it's a proof that the board did what it is supposed to do, right?
Yes, that's correct. Because you have a clear picture about what is discussed at the meeting, and you're just making it short in the minutes.
Right, absolutely. All right. So, Bhakti, now that we have talked about what to include, what's the opposite? Like, what should you never make it into the board minutes? Like, something that is not supposed to be there on board minutes.
Yeah, this is a great question, Bhumika, because it's always like what has to be included, but there's always something what has to be not included. So as
Hmm.
we mentioned, there is no as such a format what has to be there or what not has to be there. But basically, when in a generic terms, when we say personal opinions or emotional languages should be avoided or should not be included in the minutes, like he said or she said, it has to be very specific and stick to the facts that was discussed or decided or any actionable that will follow in the going forward through the meetings. Also,
Hmm.
word to word recording in the minutes is not required. It has to be very precise and summarize the key points and the outcomes. Normally what happens is, vague or incomplete discussions or decisions should be avoided. It has to be very clear and crisp with the what the happened during the meeting.
Right. I think, again, like very important things to make sure that you're not putting it down on the board minutes. And yeah, it completely makes sense also, like to keep it factual and keep it professional, like no storytelling, just what it is needed, right?
Yeah, because there are so many discussions happening. You cannot write
Hmm.
something, then that minutes will become a book of board meeting. So that's not
Yeah,
required.
from minutes to hours.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right. No, no, makes sense. Okay. So let's say the minutes are written. That's only half the story, right? Now, how do they actually become officially? How do you make them official?
Yes, Bhumika. Because draft minutes doesn't mean that, it doesn't become approved until it is actually approved by the board. Now, the second question is how it has to be approved. So
Hmm.
typically, the draft minutes can be circulated before the next board meeting. So that is the reason earlier also we mentioned that, the one of the agenda items can be approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. So that is the time the board can approve the minutes of the previous board meeting. And
Hmm.
once it is approved, then only it gets an official status that it is actually approved. Board
Okay.
may have any kind of corrections or they have any opinions on that. So that is the time the minutes can also be revised. But the approval is very important.
Hmm. So it's not just, about writing them down. They have to be validated properly.
They have to be validated, but there is a validation. It has to be signed by the chairman of the meeting. So once a meeting minutes are signed by the chairman of the meeting, that becomes an official legal record.
Okay, interesting. I think that's again an important point to be taken. All right. And that leads us to the bigger picture, Bhakti. When you think about board minutes, what do they really represent in terms of governance and accountability?
Yeah, so again and again, we are just talking that the board minutes are not just the meeting notes or a paper note of accountability. It
Hmm.
also helps the board in fulfilling their duties, because they are making informed decisions. Those are documented and recorded in way of a minutes. So that can give a legal status also to them.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, and I think exactly they show that the board isn't just a meeting, but actually governing. And
Yes.
yeah, and probably that's why, even though they might seem like a formality, but they are one of the most powerful tools for good governance, right?
Yes, because there are so many roles and responsibilities which a board has to, fulfill based on their designation, because they carry a heavy weightage of roles as a director of the companies.
Hmm. Right. I think, Bhakti, today's conversation was very crisp and to the point, although I think it was a short one, but very important, something that people generally miss out.
That's correct. It's like, you feel like, oh, what is there in this, but actually it has a lot
Hmm.
in that.
Yeah, because when you listen, when you talk about board minutes, the thing that comes to your mind is just noting down everything that has happened in a minute in a meeting. But then apparently, like you mentioned, that there are a few things that are supposed to be there and there are a few things that shouldn't be there. So I think it gives a lot of clarity.
That's correct, Bhumika.
Right. All right, Bhakti. Thank you so much for walking us through this. I think you've really helped turn something that seems like a chore into something that actually can see the real value of. Thank you for being here, Bhakti.
Thank you, Bhumika. Thank you so much.
All right. And to our listeners, remember, minutes aren't just about note taking, they are about creating a record that protects your board, your organization, and your mission. And that's it for today's episode of Minutes and Matters. We will be back again soon with more insights on governance and leadership. Until then, stay curious, stay informed.